Alright, we're gonna continue the Tara Smith bullshit.
The Nebraska Autism Society. I've been having a lot of meltdowns, even more frequently recently because of all there's a lot going on. I could talk for days. I'd rather show people what's in the bag. Through all this, it could have been avoided by people understanding a little bit better, which is difficult to do when people think that they're right no matter what.
Yeah, there are people like that, that's for sure.
This is Amanda. She's a friend I've known for about 20 years, and she wants to be able to help me. She lives in Alabama. But she also has a lot of experience with autism. The problem is that with her living in Alabama and me living here, it hasn't worked out. She did come here specifically with the intent of helping me last year. The problem is that her vehicle rental ended up being an issue. And as a result, she was only able to come down for about an hour. And then she was going to come down this summer, but COVID happened. But she can fill you in on a lot too. I'll probably send her your email address too, and I'll have her send it in regards to me. That way you know it's about me right from the start. The whole thing is that through all of it, people just got the wrong idea, and that's understandable. But they needed to actually talk to people instead of making bad assumptions and jumping through the hoops. And if I'd had somebody who is a little more familiar with autism, or even a caseworker who is more familiar with me, things would have turned out a lot different as well. I'm going to write /phone here so that you know that she's the one who pays the phone bill. Oh, you're really good to see you.
How are you?
A lot better. I actually got a decent night's sleep last night, and for the first time in a few years, I woke up with my back barely hurting.
There's going to be someone else coming in a minute to grab her lunch out of here, just so you guys know. Okay.
All right. I don't think we should be scared of anyone getting their lunch.
No, I think we're good.
All right.
Do you guys want coffee or water or anything? I'm good, thanks.
Do you have any sugar and creamer?
Sugar and creamer in the fridge.
I am totally down with coffee then. Give me just one moment and I'll get up and get it.
I'm sorry, can you hear me with water running?
I said then I am totally down with getting coffee. I'll get up and get it in a minute.
Okay.
Oh, don't get dim on me. That makes it difficult to read.
Well, I hope it's still hot, but there's microwaves. It's hot.
Right? I'll microwave 3-day-old coffee, I don't care. I didn't mean to say it to gross you out.
Here's some creamer in this cup, okay?
Yes, ma'am,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
You're welcome.
For certain, I won't tell her about the dumpster slime I had to live out of
Oh,
in the
you
early
don't, no, don't hear that.
2000s.
So here's my concern. Going to a facility, they're going to want you to have a doctor visit or a doctor okay to move into any sort of facility.
Yes, ma'am. And I am working on that now, actually.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, I have been researching a lot of these places where they told me are available here in Nebraska for people who are autistic.
Okay.
And I've been getting their numbers and stuff this morning so that I can call some up and try to find a specialist, possibly in Omaha or Lincoln. There's also apparently a place in Kearney, although I don't know if it's open or not, that might be able to help. But so that's what I was doing this morning when you called, was getting the numbers and stuff like that.
And these facilities that take people with autism?
No, these are just local doctors who specialize with autism.
Okay.
And I guess you'd call them outpatient facilities, is that right?
Okay, yeah.
But that way I can be somewhere where there are people who are localized. Also, when you go to the doctor's offices, a lot of times they have useful information because they specialize with autism. They've already been through the runaround 1,000 times. They already know who to call and who's going to give them the runaround, and they already know what services are available in the area, as well as they might know a couple of individuals who are autistic that might have the same special interest, and that helps with socialization, because even if you're autistic, positive socialization is important.
So if those doctors are wanting to put you on medications, are you okay with that?
Those doctors aren't going to want to put me on medications. That's part of the reason for going to them. They specialize in autism, which means that they understand that pills are the least effective treatment. For people who are low-functioning autistic and they are violent and they do get angry, and especially if they're immodal, which means they can't speak, then a lot of times those children are heavily sedated because people are afraid of violence. With me, I just get loud, and people get violent with me when I get loud. And when I'm being loud, it's because I'm being abused, and I tried coming to it in a situation nicely, and the violence has continued, and then it gets to the point where I'm literally screaming at the top of my lungs for help.
So let me back up a minute. So why did you break the windows at the low-income housing place?
I needed the police to do their jobs, and I had a panic attack. I needed somebody professional there so that I could feel that the police could do their jobs, and also to guarantee that their body cameras would be on and it would be recorded. It's a lot more likely if somebody else is there, where if it's just me, there's really no incentive to even turn on their body cameras in a lot of cases. Or so I've come to realize.
So what do you think the police in Chapel, how do you think they're not doing their job? Or I guess I'm not understanding how breaking the windows would make them do their job. That would just make you go to jail or get you in trouble at the courts.
Well, that's part of not having someone in person, is that I shouldn't have to do anything desperate or drastic to get help in person. And this has been 4 years of not having help in person. I mean, once in a while I have someone come down who says, oh, well, we can't do this and we can't do this, or you need to be able to do this in order for us to help you. And they're telling me things that I don't have the ability to do. And if I don't have the ability to do those things, how can I get the services that I need? Does that make sense?
Yes, but now I just have more questions.
Yes. That's where I'm at. That's where a lot of other people are at, and where we're trying to communicate in many of these places, or with many of these people in texting. There is so much that is being, misconstrued, misread, and it's not just them. I mean, obviously, I do the same thing. We're all human, and texting sucks. But that's where a lot of their questions are coming from, and it's a lot slower to answer their question than texting as well. Whereas you being here in person, you see how we're communicating well,
Right.
and also how we didn't have 100 misunderstandings in texting before we started our conversation.
Right. I agree with you with texting. I totally agree with that. Things are always taken out of context
Yep.
and misunderstood. Nope, I totally get that.
Also, there's probably paperwork, I'm assuming, on the situation of when I went to a pump and pantry. Do you remember, like, what day that...
I'm gonna pause it. I've had that conversation with nearly everyone about texting, about how it gets taken wrong. But I also fess up to my shit. If I text something that's mean, you're gonna know that it's mean. I'm gonna give you an example. There's a woman named Laura Nelson. She was a part of nearly all of this. Up until after Natalie was killed. Matter of fact, there's a video in here where she went in with me, finally, to go talk to Sean Holloway and turn in my fucking abusers. And she just sat there looking stupid. Now, she was aware of the situation with Candace Bondurant. She was aware of the situation with Jamie Curtis. She was aware of the situation with Lana and Amanda. Matter of fact, Laura Nelson used to badmouth Lana left, right, and fucking center. Oh my God. If it's taken wrong in text, it's because you're a fucking bitch. And I don't mean like boobs, bitch. I don't mean like, derogatory towards a woman, bitch. I mean as in a prison bitch. You're exactly the kind of motherfuckers who will lay down and just take it. You're exactly the kind of person who will let an innocent man get victimized because you are a bitch. Too cowardly to tell the truth. Too cowardly to come forward, but guess what? I do type mean shit. Here's one to Jace Jepson, and of course, I'm trying to be, well, as decent as I can towards him. I typed, "I'm glad I'm not a coward. I never expected your family to be." He typed, "Okay, Schwartz." I typed, "Why is it that you and Rory are so different from the rest? I mean, you aren't even close to being the man he was, but at least you weren't a coward with your words, and neither was he." Now, he types to me, "I don't know, Sean. What I do know is it's 3 a.m. and I work at 8:30, so have a nice night." And I type, "Night." Now, with each of these people, they do have a level of development. By the time Jace is Rory's age, he's going to have quite an impact on people's lives. He's going to have changed a lot of lives. What are the chances that he'll be a better man than Rory? Well, that's up to Jace. There's a video on my YouTube channel called Jace Chapel Witness. Now, obviously, I'm letting him know how I feel about his family. I should have cited specifics because I don't want him to think that it's directed at him, but of course the way that I typed it, it really does seem like it is sort of directed at him. There's also the fact that that last part where I typed, you weren't even close to being the man he was. That's not what I meant to type. But I'm also not going to correct it. It's 3 a.m. and he works at 8:30. So, of course, with text messaging, sending it wrong, it might as well be what I meant to say. But the last part of that, the second half, is exactly what I meant to say. I wrote, "But at least you weren't a coward with your words, and neither was he." Which, that's exactly what I meant to type on that part. Now, with that, of course, people don't want to hear that people in their family are cowards. But at the same time, I don't pull punches unless it's absolutely necessary to save a life. Now this is meanness right here. I typed to Laura Nelson. Now she should have blocked me a long time ago. If she's not going to come forward and tell the truth, she does need to block me. I typed to her, "You have allowed me to be abused for over 5 years because you are a fucking piece of shit. Tell the truth, you fucking can't. You knew I wasn't going to Virginia for pussy." See, that's the thing. Right there. It's already had several typographical errors. I didn't want to type, "Tell the truth, you fucking can't." I was trying to type, "Tell the truth, you fucking cunt." Big difference. It's also, "You knew I wasn't going to Virginia for pussy." P-U-S-H-Y. What I typed was P-U-S-S-Y. I also typed, "I told the truth. You were a part of the shit at Candace and the shit after jail in Boulder. What the fuck is wrong with you, huh? I hope your business flops and your fat lazy ass fucking starves to death." I also typed, "I hope your husband has a heart attack and dies." That's meanness there. That is straight up intentional. That right there is not niceness. It's not intended as niceness. And although there's a couple of words that are wrong in there, those words are meant to be curse words, and I'm certain that with the other curse words in there and the fact that it is directly directed at her and her family, well, it's a very different story, isn't it? See, Jace was involved in just the situation with Sheriff Scott DaCosta and his deputies. When he found out he was recorded and on my YouTube, he said it was fine to leave it up. He's not going to be a coward with his words. Laura Nelson, on the other hand, she doesn't care who gets hurt. As long as she doesn't have to tell the truth, it's fine. Now, is it mean to type stuff at her like, "I hope your fat lazy ass fucking starves to death"? Yes, that's mean. And I hope your husband has a heart attack and dies. Yes, that's mean as well. And they're not meant to be fucking nice. with as much of this story as she was a part of, oh yeah, I got a lot of mean things to say to her. A lot of mean things. See, that's the problem with dealing with cowards. Now, after typing that, of course, I typed some more meanness. I typed the horrible thing is, you aren't any more loved by Chapel than I am. And that's true. That is so fucking true. People don't fucking like Laura. There's poor people who go butter her biscuits and fucking feed her bullshit. And then they go around town and talk shit about her. Why the hell wouldn't they? Oh my god, she smells like shit. She smells like shit. Why does she always smell like shit? I've got a pretty good nose. I don't think she smells like shit. But that's how Chapel works. Kind of like Amanda Engeline. Her chore when she was in high school was to feed the dogs. And of course, Drake Chambers wanted to make fun of her all the time and tell me, oh dude, I'd never fuck Amanda, she smells like dog food. She always smells like dog food. And then my little brother Michael, he wanted to brag about how him and Drake Chambers both fucked her at the same time. Damn. Tough breaks, huh? It's not okay to slut shame, right? Well, I wholeheartedly disagree. See, here's the way that I look at it. If it's okay to treat a man like shit and pretend that everything is about sex just because he has a dick, and to slut shame men, even men who don't even have sex, like me, oh yeah, it's okay to slut shame a woman back. That's called equality. Anyway, I typed to her, this is to Laura, of course. Yes, I have people's phone numbers and I could call them up and harass them by phone and so on and so forth. But here's the thing about that. That's actual harassment. Here, Laura has the opportunity and the choice, the decision to block me at any time that she wants to. I also typed here, the horrible thing is, you aren't any more loved by Chapel than I am. Poor folks pretend to care because you have a store for the poor. And she does. She opened that store out of the goodness of her own heart. She's also trying to make it a business and make a profit with it. She also doesn't have very many friends because, well, they come into the store and then she wants to yak their ear off about what everybody else in town is doing. That's small town Nebraskans for you. She's not even from Nebraska, she's from Colorado. It says, when the state takes your fucking kid, remember that I'm the one motherfucker in Chapel who isn't too much of a coward to fight for his rights. And that's true. Is Laura Nelson fighting for her son's rights? No, she's not. She's fighting for her own rights. My biggest fear for Laura Nelson, despite what I wrote in the first half of this, my biggest fear for Laura Nelson has nothing to do with her. Has nothing to do with her husband either. It has to do with their son. What's going to happen to him when they're dead? They're both old. They're up there in years. Neither one of them is in real great physical health. When Laura Nelson and her husband are dead, what's going to happen to their son? You know, that's a thought that Amanda Daniels has as well. What's going to happen when she dies? She's trying to get her kids set up so that, well, her daughter at least, has a place and a support network. See, that part's the most important part. A support network. Amanda Daniels, she lost her mother, and that's horrible. And I worry about Amanda every day because of it. There's a big difference between Amanda Daniels and Amanda Engeline, though. Amanda Daniels is a good person. Amanda Engeline is not. She's a good mother, though. I can't take that from her. Now, do I really hope that her husband has a heart attack and dies? No, I don't. Those are just hurtful things. Just like, I hope your business flops and your fat, lazy ass fucking starves to death. Do I really hope that? No. What good would that really do? I don't think it would do any good whatsoever. Of course, the very last part of this is probably the most important part. By not coming forward, by allowing people to harm me over and over and over again, because she's too cowardly to speak up. She's showing what a selfish piece of shit she is. Does she really care about her son? Is her son really the most important thing in the world to her? Absolutely not. If she actually cared about her son, she'd fight for his rights. I'm fighting for his rights. See, here's the difference. She's fighting for her control of her son, her ability to keep her son in her life. And she does love him very much. She's afraid of getting her son taken by the state, or being threatened, harassed, or intimidated with CPS, or having other people in town do horrible shit. She's not thinking about his rights after she's dead. That's what I'm fighting for. He's nonverbal. What are the chances of him getting blasted by a cop? Pretty fucking good. What are the chances of him getting shoved in a home with people who are going to abuse him? Pretty fucking good. And rather than try to understand him and understand what sends him into a panic attack or a meltdown, they'll just drug him. If that's not enough, they'll strap him to a fucking bed and they'll still drug him. And anytime they have a problem with him, they'll fucking tase him and smack him down to the ground and strap him to that fucking bed and drug him again. That's what Laura Nelson's son has to look forward to when her and her husband are gone. So this last part, the most important part, the most honest part, I took to her, you owe me a bullet to my head. She absolutely does. Each and every one of these people owe me a bullet to my head. All of them. How easy is it to misinterpret what I typed there? How easy is it to misinterpret the fact that I'm very angry? I don't think anybody's going to misinterpret that at all. Whereas what I typed to Jace Gibson, well, what I meant and how it came out were not exactly the same. And of course, with there's actually 3 parts in there. where it was auto-corrected that, of course, makes it out to be something that it's not. So with him, it would be very easy to misinterpret what I was typing. It would be very easy to just assume the worst in it. With Laura Nelson, there is no fucking doubt. I'm pissed at that fucking cunt. No matter what her fucking excuse is, this shit is not alright. A decent person would have fucking come forward.
That was, or which office?
Oh, not a clue.
Oh,
Not
God.
a clue.
Would it be on your paperwork?
Probably not. And I don't know if I can share my paperwork.
That's all right. Too, and I don't have the credentials.
Alright, I backed it up just a little bit.
To do, and if I don't have the ability to do those things, how can I get the services that I need? Does that make sense?
Yes, but now I just have more questions.
Yes. That's where I'm at. That's where a lot of other people are at, and where we're trying to communicate in many of these places, or with many of these people in texting. There is so much that is being, misconstrued, misread, and it's not just them. I mean, obviously, I do the same thing. We're all human, and texting sucks. But that's where a lot of their questions are coming from, and it's a lot slower to answer their question in texting as well. Whereas you being here in person, you see how we're communicating well,
Right.
and also how we didn't have 100 misunderstandings in texting before we started our conversation.
Right. I agree with you with texting. I totally agree with that. Things are always taken out of context
Yep.
and misunderstood.
Now anybody who wants to pretend like I betrayed them by showing the truth, they can play victim all they want. But the plain and simple fact is they betrayed me by not telling the truth. Life is grand, ain't it? I'm not nice anymore. There's no reason for me to be nice. These people did horrible shit by not coming forward. Now this lady Tara, when I'm asking her about the stuff from 2018, I'm trying to find out why the fuck they didn't ever do anything. So that's why I rewound it a bit.
Nope, I totally get that.
Also, there's probably paperwork, I'm assuming, on the situation of when I went to a pump and pantry. Do you remember, what day that was, or which office?
Oh, not a clue.
Oh,
Not
God.
a clue.
Would it be on your paperwork?
Probably not. And I don't know if I can share my paperwork.
That's all right.
I don't think she had any paperwork. I don't think she bothered to write anything down. I don't believe she did her fucking job.
If you're not allowed to, you're not allowed to, and I don't have the credentials or the pay grade to take it from you.
Well,
If I did have the
it requires an
credentials
act
and
of
pay
Congress.
grade, I would take it. If I did have the credentials and the pay grade, and she says it would take an act of Congress. So basically there's no law here in Nebraska. None. Anybody who works for the state can take Laura Nelson's kid at any point in time, and there's not a goddamn thing she can do about it.
Of course, I think.
Right? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
another thing that I have had a gripe about, is that a lot of this stuff does take an act of Congress to get the evidence that shows that I tried, but it doesn't take anything at all to, throw me in a nuthatch and inject me with drugs. All right, the other numbers are on this phone because you want my Aunt Mary's number. Sorry, I'm trying to stay on track and also keep talking so that
You're all right.
I'm filling you in as best I can.
Nope, you're okay.
Now, like I was saying about the, that is not right.
I don't know of any facilities that are going to meet the needs that you're wanting. That's what I'm concerned about. It's certainly done in this area.
If I can, where these doctors are, it's probably not going to be that big of an issue getting in with them. But even if I can't, if I'm able to get some sort of housing there, even if it's a temporary living situation, at least it's a start, so that I can at least go through the efforts and go through the motions to get that process started. So I mean, if I had to go to Lincoln or Omaha or North Platte or anything like that, not Scottsbluff.
Now here's the thing about western Nebraska. No matter where I go in western Nebraska, I've got to deal with the fact that Scott DeCosta has already abused his power repeatedly and had me abused in many places. Scott DeCosta doesn't have to ask these jails or prisons to abuse me. They're going to abuse me regardless, because I'm going to fight for my rights. Your rights in prison are a fucking joke. Your rights in jail are a fucking joke. You think you have rights. There's a handbook that says that you have rights. There's laws about inmate rights, but then there's the fact that who's going to enforce it? Nobody. There is no way to enforce that without body cameras being on at all times.
Their facilities suck. They don't have any services there for autistic people, and the one specialist they have for autism, he doesn't have a lot of experience in autism. Most of his experience is with drug addicts.
So right. So going east might be your better option. Like
Yes, ma'am.
Grand Island east.
That could work. Oh, I'm going to write that down.
Now, when she said Grand Island East, she's basically telling me to move as far away as possible. That's everybody's fucking solution. See, Laura Nelson and I used to be friends. But a friend wouldn't allow this shit to happen to another human being, knowing that all they have to do is tell the truth. See, with each one of these people who tells the truth, it takes me a little bit closer. When Marcia Estrada said I had a 10% chance, oh, she was being very liberal about it. I don't have a reason to be nice anymore. There are too many dead people.
I'm going to write it on your card, but that's not, because I'm going to...
That's okay. You can do whatever you want with it.
Grand Island, I think somebody might have said something about Grand Island, but I don't know for certain, because everybody's got a billion and one ideas, and by the time I get to somewhere where I can stop and look it up,
Right.
I'm like, all right, out of the 8 ideas that people had, which ones do I remember?
Yeah.
And hopefully...
And I have no ideas.
Right. So, just because you said Grand Island, that's word association. That brought me back to a memory, and that memory was important. Why am I not able to find... Oh, this man's name is Steve Tombleson. And he was, he worked with the outreach down there in Colorado, several outreaches, Boulder, Homeless Outreach, the Carriage House, the Center for Homelessness Overflow, and also the want to say Step Beyond program, but Homeward Bound, that's what it's called. And he has tried to work with me. The issue is that he's in Colorado. These are all professionals that I've gone to. A lot of these people are, this is basically what they do. Like with Meg being an advocate, she doesn't get paid for that, but she does the exact same thing that Region 1 is supposed to do. Now, the problem is Region 1 wasn't doing it, they were ignoring me.
Also, she doesn't do the
And that has to do with the situation here and the situation after Natalie died, as well as before she died, because I had been going through all of the hoops to, that's a 7. I had been going through all of the hoops to try to get this taken care of legally so that I could stop the harassment and the assaults before Natalie died. But then when Tamara quit, we had agreed that it was probably better for me to go to Colorado because the services there were better equipped to help me. And so I moved to Colorado.
So do you still have warrants out in Colorado for your arrest or no?
I do, but they're not national, they're just regional.
Sure.
So I would have to go to Colorado for them to serve them.
Which is another reason why you don't want to go to Colorado.
It's a reason why I can't go to Colorado.
Right.
I can play for you right now a recording that'll take me about 30 seconds to find of one of my witnesses to an assault in Boulder County Jail. The officers were assaulting me. This was a very big case. Natalie was all over the news, and afterwards a lot more happened. And I was assaulted in January of 2018 as well as August of 2018 in the Boulder County Jail. Let's see. Maybe I can look it up this way.
So do you have agencies in Nebraska that you have worked with besides Meg? Megan?
Yes, I have. I've
I've
tried.
tried some evidence to actually show her the situation and how it started, and she's immediately changing the subject.
I'm working with Region 1.
What do you mean, when you say you tried, what do you mean?
Well, when I was actually working with them, the reason I say working is because it did work when Tamara was working there. But then I ended up having to deal with, this lady's name is Jen Beebe, and she is not equipped for the task. She has no idea how to work with somebody who is autistic. She has a lot of her own ideas she's very headstrong, and it's tough to get past those.
Headstrong is the nicest way to say it. She thinks she's right about every goddamn thing. She's fucking dumb as a goddamn stump. But we'll continue.
You know what, this is really just, it's starting to give me a little bit of anxiety. I can find her number if you want, and I'll send it to your email.
Yeah, you can, that's fine. No, you're okay.
But if it's an assisted living place, or if it's low income or anything like that, like I can do it. I just have to have the access to the autism services nearby at some point in the near future.
See, that's the thing about autism. Between understanding it and abusing us for it, you choose to abuse us. Now, this video is mostly me talking and me telling you about the mean shit that, oh, wrong phone, that I typed to Jace and to Miss Laura. Now, in both of those, obviously, there was typographical errors and fucked up word prediction. But obviously, in the case of Laura, it changed those mean words into nice words. Whereas when I was typing to Jace, it changed my nice words into mean words. But, and here's the big but, rather than typing for 30 minutes to him to try to correct it, I figure, fuck it. You know, it's close enough. He's trying to sleep.